Hello again. Welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to FTB Interactions. So, since last episode, I've actually done a bit of work. I'm actually going to turn off a couple of these waypoints real quick. But I've been out mining. I actually cleared out our old copper mine, our tin mine, most of another redstone mine. It's actually a lot larger of one. Our old iron mine, actually mined a bit of copper. And if we take a look in here, you can see a bunch of, there's a bunch of copper and redstone, coal and iron stuff. We've got lots of, well, not in that one. In this one, we've got a bunch of tin. Over here, we've got a bunch more tin. And we got a whole bunch of copper in this one. It's all over the place right now. I'm actually getting ready to begin moving things here shortly. Which is always exciting. But what I want to do today, now that we've reached the point of LV, like we are just about the point where we're going to start getting into a lot of things and going off the books a bit in the upcoming episodes, which will be exciting. But now that we've hit LV, we need to push for our machines, basically just to get costs of things down. Because right now, making plates, making wires, all that stuff is fairly expensive. So I want to push on into LV machines. And before too long, I don't know if it'll be next episode or when, because I'm actually going to be doing a bit of a base rework and moving some things and stuff. Because we've been building these little buildings, that's all fine and good, but really I'd like something a little bit more compact and centered, just so we don't have to chunk load a large area. I get to thinking, it's like, I don't think I want to have this sprawling area and have to chunk load all these different things and all that mess. Basically just for server performance, I'd rather have everything a bit more centered, and so I've got an idea for that. Which is fine. I mean, these buildings don't take very long to throw up. You know, there's throw them up and there we go. And they're very, very cheap to build. But I'd like to start moving into logistics pipes here very, very soon, just to make our lives a whole lot easier. Now, I did complete 2 quests between episodes. One of them I didn't complete. I don't know why it's completed. It happened after the update to 2.0.5. But I did kill some slimes. And actually, these spawned from a intestine creature, or whatever they're called. And so we do get a slime cube for that. And then over here, I'm not going to turn this one in, but for some reason, when I updated the pack, it gave me quest completion for the diesel cell. No clue why. So technically we can get an advanced diesel generator. It's MV tier. We can already have MV tier stuff. But I'm not going to turn that in right now because that's really, really wonky. For some reason, it did complete that quest. Very, very strange. But what we're going to do today is we are going to open up this tab and we're going to start pushing some of these machines over here and some of these quests over here. I'm going to go ahead and actually just turn this in about the battery charger, and I'm going to turn this in about storing and charging. And we may push on for some modular storage today because my stuff is getting lost. I could have swore we had a machine frame somewhere, but maybe we didn't. I don't know. But anyways, I think the very first machine that I want to go for, it comes down to either going for the metal bender, so we can make plates a whole lot cheaper, or going for the wire mill. As to which one I would do first, personally, I prefer, I think we're going to go for the metal bender, and that's because we can save on steel. I did go ahead and I made up some steel between episodes, and I've got some on me, but there's a bit more there, and let me go ahead and grab that. And for right now, we're going to have to run this through, the forge hammer. I do need a single machine frame. We are going to need more machine frames, of course, but for right now, because it's a bit more expensive, we're going to be able to make plates 1-to-1 here in just a minute. So we're going to go for the bender. We've got these, that's not a problem. The pistons, I'm going to need, let's see, 1, 4, 8. 8 additional plates for the pistons. So a total of 24 steel ingots to go for this. And then in addition, we are going to need 4 steel rods. We're going to need a few tin cables, that's fine. Honestly, what I might do as far as the tin cables go, We got these from that quest. I'm going to go ahead and just break these down and break them down and break them down. And now we have a full stack of 10 cables. The 8 times is fine and all, but I don't know for sure that we'll technically need it anytime soon. And I'll be able to get a lot more benefit from having the 10 cables as cables, I think. Alright, so let's go ahead and get our LV machine casing, and then we'll get our LV machine hull. And then I'm going to need to get us a gear. And then I should be able to pull off the... oh, we need motors for that too, though. So we're going to need a total of 4 motors to pull this off. Almost makes me think the lathe might be worth going for. Oh, the lathe is so tempting right now because of that, all that. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need to get more steel made very, very quickly. But we are going to need, where are you, file? There's 16 steel rods. And I'm going to need to get some redstone ran for magnetic steel rods. So we'll just toss that in and let that start running for us. Luckily, redstone builds up crazy fast. Oh wait, we're supposed to be making the iron version, not the... That's fine, we'll use those steel rods here shortly. I'm just losing my mind. So I'm going to need 4 of these magnetic iron rods. And I should probably go ahead and get some, like some banded iron or something running, because we are going to need more iron. Honestly, probably 3 stacks. So we'll go ahead and do that. Because I'm going to have to make a bunch more steel as well. Okay, and this is where the wire mill will definitely be of benefit, but we'll get to that here very, very soon. The fact is, copper is a whole lot easier than, and copper, and well, actually we don't even need 10 now thanks to that quest reward, but copper, a whole lot easier than steel. I mean, steel's not difficult, of course, but, and I'm going to need, well, actually, bare minimum, I'm going to need at least 16 copper wire. Okay, but I'm starting to do like some mass mining, just so that we can start really pushing through progression and things like that in the upcoming episodes. So we're going to be pushing for ore processing, like automatic ore processing, before too long. MV was about the time I hit it last time, and it might be the same this time, though we might go ahead and start setting certain things up just to make our lives a bit easier. But our full super ore processing will probably be around MV, I think, again. But there we go. There's our 4 LV electric motors. If I recall, there was something that made it a whole lot easier to wait until MV to do it. There was something we didn't have or something. I can't remember. There's that. I'm missing one of the gears. I didn't make enough. I may have to make some more steel plates. I don't think so. I don't think that I'll have to. No. There's our basic bending machine. So yay! And we do, as a quest reward, we do get 16 red alloy plates, which will come in handy, of course. I'm going to turn that off. I think that's done. And let me go ahead and pull out a bit of these materials. Now that we've got our bending machine, we can start making plates 1-to-1, and we really have no more use for the forge hammer. You know, the bronze forge hammer at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just pull this up. I don't really need it. And we are going to put in, I'm actually going to run out these 10 cables. And this stuff will be getting moved here shortly. But I'm going to go ahead and just run out those 10 cables, and we're going to put in our basic bending machine here. And then we are going to need, for the wire mill, I think that's the next thing that we're going to go for. Either that or the lathe. Probably the wire mill, I think. Yeah, because this is just electric motors. So we're going to have to do the copper push again, but that's fine. Let me go ahead and actually just get our 16, wait a second, no, I'm going to need, yeah, 16 of those. And we are going to need, we're going to need one of these circuits. Yeah, integrate, or program circuit. I think 0 is good. Nope, that's going to make a, yeah, that's going to make a plate. I'm thinking, I was like, wait a second, I want the wire mill. Losing my mind. Alright, so yeah, we've pretty much got all this. We just have to get electric motors again. So I'm going to have to get more magnetic iron rods. Oh, I can't craft these in my inventory. But there's our 16 copper plates. I'm also going to need 7 more steel plates for this. And then let me go ahead. I can't make this in my little 2x2 crafting table, so there's that. I'm 1 short. Ugh. Okay, what all is it to make a file? 2 plates. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and make this out of steel at this point, I think. Okay, so there's our steel file. There's our other iron rod. Alright. And then I'm going to need 4 magnetic ones. This isn't too bad. Like we ran through an entire vein of redstone for the last episode's projects. But that was also because that vein was not very large at all, which was a bit unfortunate. The vein that I've hit now is massive. And so we really don't have to worry too much about redstone at this point, I don't think. So there's 4 more electric motors, and so there's that. And then, yeah, of course, upgrade it. Then we'll have the wire mill. Boom, there we go. Basic wire mill. And I'm going to toss this down. Honestly, we're probably not going to be ever using these things, really. So we've got the wire mill, and for that quest, we do get ourselves 32 annealed copper wire. Always great. And the next thing I'd like to do is, really, I'd like to go ahead and push for the lathe. Just so we can get double output for our rods. Try to go for the stuff that makes crafting cheaper, first and foremost. So the basic lathe, we are going to have to get, I mean, pretty much all this stuff is pretty standard. The piston, yeah, we're going to have to get another one of those. A diamond, which I've got. I had 5 of them. I did use 1 to make this chisel, just because it has a lot more durability than an iron chisel. So I was like, well, why not? So we'll go ahead and throw that down. And to get our lathe, in total, I'm going to need 3... Just 3 steel plates, yeah. And there's also the polarizer. I don't know if I want to go ahead and push for that because it is super cheap. Let's actually go ahead and push for that first. Just because I won't have to do the iron rods anymore. Well, I mean, I can, I guess. Can I, magnetic iron rod? I can do that in the polarizer. And the thing is, the polarizer doesn't really require anything that... I mean, we'll have to make a couple iron rods, but that's not a problem. But it will save us on redstone just overall. So let's go ahead and actually just push that first. So I'm going to need 4 pieces of 2x10 wire, which is really just 4 10 ingots, because we're going to get double up on wire at this point. And then I'm going to need the 2 iron rods. And we just take these, we combine them together. There we go. There's our 2x10 wire. A lot of crafting to do for today's episode, but we're pushing into... we're fully pushing into LV, which is exciting. Okay, so there is our basic polarizer. I don't think there's a quest for that, but it is, like I said, it's going to save us that redstone, which is always a plus. At this point, let me go ahead and just bring up these 10 cables here, and we'll keep plugging machines up to this little area because this is just kind of a workshop, so we're just manually using the stuff at this point. Now I could use steel for this. I'm going to go ahead and stick with iron though. And now I want to turn our attention over towards the lathe again. I need 6 iron rods in total. Technically I could do the steel. I could make I could use these steel ones now because I don't think there's any difference though. Yeah. It's basically just, do you want to use iron or do you want to use steel? There's really no benefit either way. But we can go ahead and take these 2 and throw them into the polarizer and turn those into magnetic iron rods at this point. And I'm going to go ahead and throw all of our copper into the wire mill. I need a bunch of this stuff, so might as well. I did go ahead and throttle this to 20% at the moment, and that was really just so that I could let charcoal build up because I was making steel and I was running out of charcoal, and I didn't want to have to waste coal to do it when I've got charcoal automated, you know. Alright, let's go ahead. There's our 2 electric motors. We're about to craft up the 40 that we need, I think. Here in just a moment. But let me go ahead and get our small steel gear. And then we'll go ahead and get our piston. Alright, so there's our basic lathe. Awesome. Once again, this machine does not have a quest for it, but I do highly suggest the lathe and the polarizer are both super cheap, and they're just going to save us resources in the long run. So might as well go ahead and get those, I think. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and get, say, a good 12 iron rand. And it's going to cut this iron down. We're going to get the 2 rods. But you can see that we can take bolts and make them into screws, 1-to-1 conversion. So we're going to be able to make screws and rods and bolts just a whole lot cheaper overall with that lathe. Okay, now at this point, let's see. The ones they have us having quests for is the compressors, the alloy smelters, the forge hammers. I would like to go ahead and get an alloy smelter for sure. And this means we'll be able to make alloys a lot faster, as well as having access to alloys that we normally wouldn't have access to. Because certain alloys can be made, of course, in the LV alloy smelter that cannot be made in the bronze one. So nothing really comes to mind, but there should be some. So I'll tell you what, for right now, because once again, this is just kind of our workshop. We're not too worried about speed. We'll just set it up right there. We're running all this through a single steam turbine at the moment, but we're going to expand on that a lot before too long. And what do we get as the reward for our alloy smelter? We get 8 signalum ingots. Oh, we're going to have to push towards the blast furnace before too long. I'd like to go ahead and get all these basic machines out of the way, and then the blast furnace. Well, I think we're going to have to go to the nether before we can get that, though. And there's a bit of stuff. I want to get proper gear and everything before we go to the nether. Alright, so we've got that. The next thing, let's go ahead and... Do I want to go ahead and just push on for the electric motors? I think so, just to get this quest out of the way. Plus, we do get some nice rewards. We get a bunch of copper wire, magnetic iron rods, tin wires, paper rings, tin rotors, and rubber bars. Definitely worth going ahead and pushing on for. Especially now that we have all of our machines in place. So really all I need is just a bunch of cables and a bunch of rods. 24, but I'm going to need, what, 120 of these. So let's just dump all that in there. Let that start going for a minute, and I'm going to need more copper wire and more tin wire. Yeah, I've only got 12. Yeah, let me just go ahead and... There you go. Dump all that tin wire in there. It's still not going to be enough, but that's fine. And I'm going to go ahead and run some more copper and some more tin over here as well. Like maybe 2 stacks of each, I think. So I'll be back once I'm done running all this stuff down. Whoops. There we go. But I'll be back. Okay, yeah, it's the thermal centrifuge that I'm going to need from MV to get our full kind of processing system in place, but we will go ahead and start processing ores through the LV machines today. But there's our 40 electric motors. So that's out of the way. And then what I'd like to do... Well, let's actually go ahead and push for the macerator first. Yeah, okay, I think what we're going to do... let's go ahead and pull up the macerator. We're going to go ahead and make 2 macerators. And I do need to get some more steel being made, so let me go ahead and... I'll just toss that into the macerator. Get that running. We may not get all the machines today, but we'll get all the ones that are really important for us. And then let me go ahead and kick up the alloy smelter with a bit of this and get this running, making us some steel. Or crude steel. And we'll just toss that in. And I think the route that we're going to take at the moment is going to be macerator. But I think we're going to go macerator, ore washer, macerator, and then smelt it. Is I think the pathway that we're going to go with this. So, okay, so there's 2 pistons, and then we just need the 2 diamonds. Not a problem. And there is our 2 macerators. So quest completed. Go ahead and turn that in. We get 32 green sapphire dust, and quest completed. Tiny progressions. Okay. That's somewhere, but it doesn't have a reward, it doesn't look like. Okay, so now, let's take a look at the ore washer. We're going to need to get basic stuff, pretty much stuff that we've already got, and then we're going to have to get a couple tin rotors. And I will say that these are very slow, the ore washing plants. Eventually we're going to want a lot more of these, but for the time being I'm not that worried about it. because basically we're just going to use this as kind of a passive system to generate some materials. We may not, at the moment, we may not use it for all of our metal production. We'll just see how things go, but at least to help get a little bit more output. Okay, and what we're going to do, we can actually make these with just like a couple 10 ingots ran through the lathe, and then we got our 10 rods. What we can do is, no, I've got to actually cut it first. Let me, really just a single one with the saw. Get our 2 bolts, run those 2 bolts through the lathe, and we'll get our 2 screws. So there's that, and then it's screwdriver here. We'll be able to make these a little bit easier later once we get the assembler. We'll be able to make them a bit cheaper. Basically not requiring screws at that point. Am I out of circuits, really? We blasted through those integrated circuits. That's fine. Luckily I've got a lot of the stuff already made up for those. Okay, there's everything for our basic ore washing plant. And I do also want to get an electric furnace. 2 times copper wires, 10 cables, that's not too bad. Okay, so there's our basic electric furnace. None of those gave quests. That's fine. That's okay. What we're going to do, I'm going to set this up. This will be a very temporary spot, but we're going to set up the, let's just set up macerator, ore washing, and no, that's the electric furnace. Ore washing, electric furnace there, I think. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and get 2 turbines just to provide power for this, just basic steam turbines. Yeah, this should be pretty easy. Give me just a moment here. Okay, I was looking, the memory chests require that we push on a bit, and then the modular storage requires that we get to the nether. So we're going to go ahead and just set this up. It's going to be a very dirty, quick setup, temporary setup, but it's going to allow for us to have some passive ore processing that is good, basically. So what we're going to do is, let's go ahead and set these up right there. And I'm going to run out power from these, and we're just going to go like that. We're going to have 2 steam turbines feeding into the macerators and the electric furnaces and stuff. And then what we're going to do, let's go ahead and pop under the floor here. Because of course the ore washing plant is going to require that we feed it with water. And we do have this water set up over here, and honestly I think we can filter water over from this without really any issue. So what I'm going to do, let me set this side to output, and we'll just pull water from that. Yeah, I'm going to have to craft a few more conduits, that's fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and run that through the alloy smelter, get our quite clear glass, and we'll go ahead and craft our fluid conduits. So there we go. It's now extracting water. It's going to drain this aqueous accumulator pretty good at the start, but once this gets some water in it, it doesn't run that fast. You can see it can store 64,000 millibuckets of water, but this aqueous accumulator is keeping up no problem. Even having to fill the buffer on that. So that'll be good. We'll just feed that water over. And then what we're going to do, this will be semi-manual at the start, but we're going to make buffers that are decently large enough to support this. So what we're going to do, we're just going to put, and this will all get restructured a bit later once we, I'm going to set it here, once we push into, basically just into MV or close to MV, we'll start restructuring this and totally restructure it once we hit MV. Hey there. Ooh, I didn't even think about that. I had actually AFK'd here earlier. I thought the overhangs were keeping the spiders out, but it would seem that's not the case. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to run some conduits here, and let me grab That's all set up. Oh yeah, I need to plug up the steam to this. Let me do that real quick. But it won't be long really before we can revamp everything and have, you know, proper items sorting and storage and all that stuff. We're getting close at this point. But let's go ahead and I'm just going to run these pipes over, providing these with steam and giving power to this. Now I may need to... I think this will be okay, but I'm going to go ahead and increase the throttle just a little bit at this point. It's going to consume a little bit more fuel, but I'm still going to be building up fuel, and that should be fine for us. I don't know if I want to kick this back on because basically I've got this not inserting charcoal so we can build up the charcoal. But I think we could probably turn this back on, at least for now. Get that back running. And then let's go ahead and turn the throttle back up on this just a bit. I'll go up to like 40%. Realistically, it could probably run all this left as it was, throttled down. But yeah, actually I might. Let me keep building up charcoal for right now. There's going to be a time before too long where we're going to have plenty of charcoal built up. Because coal coke will eventually back up, but it's going to take a little while. So I think it's 60, maybe 64 stacks is where it caps out at. I'm not sure. But anyways, what we're going to do over here, we're going to put, let's see, we're going to go ahead and say that you extract on green, you insert on green. And then we're going to say that you extract on brown. And that's going to be always active, and you insert on brown. Okay, so basically these chests just feed over to their respective machines for right now. We'll revamp all of this, and we're going to say green on this one, and insert on green, and then extract is brown on this one, and insert is brown on this one. And no extract. Okay. So there's that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add, let's see, let's just add a double chest on top, I think. And then we'll just, we'll attach a conduit line there. Conduit line there. We're going to say that you can insert on blue, and you're going to be able to extract on blue, always active. And then over here you and also this bottom one too, because this is all just going to feed into kind of the same chest. So this is where it kind of gets manual. I'm going to have to actually you know, sort through this for the time being, but we're not going for anything that takes a bit of setup or anything at this point, because we just don't need it, truth be told. I like the memory chest system that we did last time around on FTB interactions. I actually quite enjoyed that, and we'll do that again. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a sign here that just says raw ores, which is not going to show up for some reason. How strange. What if I put it here? Oh, they work out here though. It may just have to do with the okay. It may just have to do with the GregTech stuff being right there. So what we'll do maybe is put it here and say raw ores. Man. Okay, well, let me just put a little guide over here. So raw ores goes in right here. So we'll just go ahead and toss in some raw ores. They get pulled into this macerator, and they're going to start getting macerated. And as you can see, it's a very, very slow process. That's why I really don't mind it being manual right now. Until we get upgrades across the board, stuff's just too slow to really matter that much. And when this gets finished, it's going to get pulled out. It's going to get dumped into this chest. So we're going to get crushed ores at this point. And these crushed ores, now they need to be washed. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a sign over on this side, and we're just going to say crushed ores. And this is just kind of a reference guide. So if I want a quick reference, if I've got some crushed, I just know. Oh, wow. Maybe it's the crystal torches. I don't know, it could be. I may have to get rid of those, but then we can take the crushed ores and we can throw them into here, and they're going to start processing very, very slowly. And what we'll do is we'll load these chests up with like raw copper, right? and then I can go off and I can do something, because I'm going to be building a bit in the area. Nothing too elaborate, but just building a little bit. And you can see that got processed, and we got this stuff here. We will probably put something in for stone dust, maybe a barrel. But then we're going to get the purified, which is going to go through the macerator. So we're going to put a little sign up here that says purified ores. And then these get thrown into the macerator. And basically, like I said, it's just reference, so I don't have to check JEI every time. I can just say, okay, that's, you know, where it needs to go. And then we're going to get purified piles. And so over here, we're going to say purified piles. And basically these, once we get the centrifuge, we could centrifuge them, but for right now, we pretty much just have to smelt them once again. So then they can go into the electric furnace and make us copper. And that gets pulled out and sent up there. So it's kind of a hands-on system, but it's going to allow me to process a lot of like ores and stuff and get maximum output and have like things like cobalt and stuff like that available without having to do an over-the-top setup or anything right now, because we really don't have the means to do so just yet. Not really, you know. And I'd like to go ahead and process a lot of these metals down, because I have a lot of them building up, and I need lots of iron and stuff. But this, you end up wasting a lot of materials and you get no byproducts. So I'd like to just move on to better ore processing as quickly as possible. So I think this will do the trick for us. So then if I come in, you know, raw ores go over here, and I can just dump all that into there. And let me actually just really quickly, let me get a barrel also. We'll just set our barrel up right here, and we're going to say that you can insert on purple, and you're not going to extract it all, and just grab a little bit of the stone dust, toss it into there, and we can say that you're going to extract on purple, always active. So it's going to pull that stone dust out of there. We're going to go ahead and lock it in, and because stone dust, we don't mind if it gets wasted right now, we're going to go ahead and throw a barrel void upgrade in there, so that once it reaches, you know, 64 stacks or whatever down the road, it can void that. Okay, I wanted to pop you guys in. It's actually been a couple days since the last recording. Originally, I was going to end it right there, but I decided to redo this and just re-render the video just so I can give you guys a little bit of an update. I have been down here mining, just getting some quartz and quartzite and stuff, because there's something that I want to make. And down here I did come across over there. Oh, you stop it. Anyways, he wasn't here earlier. I'm going to end up getting myself killed. There is a Crimson Knight spawner back in there. But what I really wanted to show you is, I don't have any healing potions on me. Let me warp home, and we're going to end up somewhere a little bit different this time around. Where we were before is still kind of here, but I've been moving everything. Because I decided that, I'm going to move that liquid starlight too, but I decided that I didn't, and I've got to move this and the whole tree beacon and all that building just about. I haven't moved, but that's about it. I decided that where we're at LV, we're about to start pushing into logistics pipes and stuff, and I decided that instead of having all these separate buildings, it was fun while it lasted, but I decided to build something a little bit different. So you can see it back over there, really close to our original spot. But if we warp inside, these doors do lead outside, but they're not. They're pretty much a drop off at the moment. We're going to work on the outside a bit later on, but right now I'm just working on the interior. And I'm about to do ceilings through here, so before too long we'll be totally spider proofed. But I've been sorting things out and just kind of getting a overall style that I liked. If you notice at the very beginning of this episode, for a split second my map was open and I was moving waypoints or whatever, and you could actually see a little structure off over here. That was this, where I had started working on this. But I wanted to go with something fairly cheap, so I'm going with brownstone, just because we get that extra movement speed, we can move around real quick. Bit, crag rock, and corp. The exterior is layer blocks. I have an idea for the exterior to make it look pretty nice, I think. Bear in mind, I mean, it's not a build series, but we're going to go with just kind of a large centralized structure That way I can put down maybe one weirding gadget once we get access to those and load, you know, at least the majority of our base without needing a ton of chunk loads or anything like that, and without having everything spread out. So most of these rooms are empty at the moment. As you can see, this one's going to have our enchanting setup, which with the nether closing in, needing to go to the nether, we're going to be turning our attention over towards that. Over here is kind of a little crafting room. There's our rain shield to keep us dry. This is actually where we spawn in, so we've got all of our trophies set up and all my stuff at the moment. And of course this warps back over to the old spot, and I've still got the portal that takes us to the dungeon, the teleporter down there. This on the back side is actually where our Steam setup's going to be, and then we're going to have kind of our LV sort of workshop and stuff, and we're going to be building vertically a bit, so we'll add additional floors as needed to the structure. Another empty room here, another empty room here. Oh yeah, and this one I just got this set up new clay kilns and moved all of our conveyor system over, so we can insert items here and they get cycled around and then they come out here once they're smelted, just like we had before, but just a little bit nicer, a little bit cleaner, and it fits into this room. And we'll throw some other stuff in this room also. And then over here we have just kind of our little Tinker's area. I compacted it a lot. We don't need a lot of space for this, I don't think. So if we need to smelt, if we need to do something with TC weapons and stuff, if we need to melt, we have all that available. So, and then back over here is our armor stand setup and our infernal furnace, which we'll be upgrading in one of the upcoming episodes. So that is set up. And then, actually, let me go ahead. I was wanting to get a preservation chamber real quick. And that's why I went to mine quartzite, because I can get some quartzite and Certus quartz here from this quest. I'm going to go ahead and toss a bit of that cobble in there. I'm going to need more X-tones anyway, so might as well. You can see it's all set up the same way. It just rotates those items around. It does start at this chest though. That way I had just a closer spot to put in the items, and then they, then they go over to this chest and then start cycling around. Just slightly different than the way we had it before. But even though we have other smelters, I just can't live without that system. I love it. Alright, so if we head downstairs, this is actually where a lot of our agriculture stuff's going to be. So I used our morbs that we made, or that we got from that quest. I went ahead and set us up a new sheep pen, killed off our old ones. This is actually going to be a rustic herb farm. It's still a mess down here, but I'm about to start working on that. And then over here we have the crops that are related to our pizza. Actually, I may rotate these because that's bothering me. Originally, I was planning on having it so you enter here, but then I changed it, so I'll probably just rotate it so it's here then. And then over here, I have just a variety of different crops, like one of each, just placed out here. This is all fertile soil. I used all of our bones. I need more at this point, but I'm about to be setting up our ground traps and running those more, so we'll get more from that. And then I started setting up this, and I forgot, I just made another sink and I forgot I had set one down here and just didn't even notice it. Oh well, whatever. And then I've got all of our crop based stuff and our fridge with our ice upgrade in here. And I want to go ahead and add a preservation upgrade. Now I can actually use the cooking table. I went ahead and pushed for this now that we can make plates and stuff a lot cheaper. It was like, okay, now it's time to push on for cooking for blockheads, because it's just a nice quality of life upgrade over using our crafting tables for food. So, and I've been trying to eat down some of this random stuff in these chests that I've got sitting around. But now that we have the preservation upgrade, we don't have to worry about this stuff getting used up, because it'll keep at least one of everything in here. So, but I just wanted to pop you guys in and show you that. I've been working on this. I'm going to keep working on it. I've been heavily on interactions the last couple days, and probably will continue to be for another day or so, getting everything sorted and moved over. And I want to get the ceilings built for that first floor, and then get a bit of this down here built out. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button, and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already, to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.